We started this year with a generous budget, one that offers something to everyone. From babies to seniors, from families to enterprises. This budget addresses immediate needs and prepares for the future. Of special mention is the SG60 vouchers that are to be given out in celebration of our 60 years of independence. These SG60 vouchers are not handouts. They symbolize the economic progress we have achieved since nation building. Our forefathers sowed the seeds of resilience and foresight, coupled with the careful stewardship by our leaders, and today we reap those benefits. 2 days after the budget statement, I did my house visits, went around to visit my residents and shared with them what would be encompassed in the budget. Many of them have expressed joy and excitement. Seniors themselves were also especially heartened to know of the enhanced measures such as the enhanced CDC vouchers, the long-term care support, and of course the SG60 vouchers. They were excited that they now have more support to help them cope with the daily cost of living. Now, economic growth is not just about statistics or GDP percentages. It's about the lives that we touch. It means better standards of living, meaningful employment opportunities, and the resources to fund public goods and services. As highlighted in the latest MTI report, Singapore's economy grew by 4.4% last year, with median incomes rising 3.4% above inflation, and income inequality reaching its lowest since the year 2000. This is progress. But as history has shown, past success is no guarantee of future prosperity. This bears repeating and remembering. We are operating in a world rife with geopolitical contestations. The intensifying US-China rivalry tests countries around the world in many ways. It is reshaping global supply chains, technology ecosystems, and economic partnerships. Singapore, as an open economy, feels these ripple effects. The most recent example is that of DeepSeek. DeepSeek's emergence prompted multifaceted response from the US, ranging from government scrutiny, industry reactions, and strategic reassessments. Countries such as Australia, Canada, Italy, Netherlands, Taiwan, and South Korea also indicated that they would ban the AI app, citing privacy and security concerns. Then Singapore came under the spotlight and pressure, as the US alleged that DeepSeek got NVIDIA chips through Singapore. This issue was clarified in the media and thoroughly discussed in this House last Tuesday, so I will not belabor these points. But what is clear is that Singapore can get caught when major powers contest. If the geopolitical contestation continues to escalate to a point where even breathing the same air becomes offensive to the other party, obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit here, how shall Singapore manage these sensitivities going forward and ensure that our own national survival and interests are served? Then domestically, we are also not without challenges. An aging population, low total fertility rate, now very low at below 1 at 0.97, high cost of living. These are potent combinations of challenges that we face. In McPherson, we are a mature estate with a higher than national average proportion of seniors. Over the past many years, I have met with senior residents who are struggling with old age, with having little or no family support, as well as the pressures, the worries from having to cope with daily living needs. Just very recently, during the Chinese New Year period, I went with my team to visit one of our rental blocks. And at the very last part of my visit, I met an uncle who was living alone. Just about a month or two before that, he had a fall, fractured his leg, and found it very difficult to move around. He used to be very active, but because of his fracture, his ability of mobility becoming affected, he's been cooping up at home. So even though at the beginning when I knocked on his door, he was still generally positive and joyful, cracked a few jokes with me, but towards the end of that visit, towards the end of our conversation, he broke down in tears. Why? Because he has been feeling so lonely. he felt that his sense of ability, that self-esteem has been debilitating, has been regressing. And that fear gripped him. So suddenly when we came to visit him, even though we've been seeing each other before that, but when we were there at his doorstep, he realized that he has not been forgotten, that there is still someone caring about him. He broke down into tears. So obviously, we mobilized community resources to support him, to help him, to make sure that he is connected. We also found befrienders through our community partners to continue to engage him. But this is one of those manifestations of how Singapore could be like with an aging population, with dwindling family support. And if we don't manage this carefully, we're going to have a lot more seniors who will feel very lonely, isolated, and then the whole psychosocial state of them will be affected. This is our future, so we must avoid this. Now, I must say that our government has put in place a robust system to support our seniors and the entire population for healthcare. Subsidies, the 3 M's, and also with this budget, we have greater support in terms of the longer-term care, as well as caregiver home grant support. But more than the financial support that we can give them, it is also us, people, within the community, across the nation, through our partners. What can we do to help them, to give them that moral support, that human touch that cannot be replaced? So we need to do our best to keep them healthy. We have Healthy SG, thankfully. We need to help them recover after they become unwell. I know that the hospitals are working with our community partners to follow up with them on that. But we also need to socially engage them. And this, beyond our usual grassroots, I think this needs all of us to come in to support them. So this is just one of the challenges that I can see from my ward, my constituency, and we ourselves are also doing our best to support them. Not only are we mobilizing our own fellow neighbors and volunteers, but we also raise funds to put in place schemes to also give them the extra support, like the Macpherson Care Fund, helping them to give them that assurance that apart from what the government is able to offer them, we help them with their medical needs, including dental needs, as well as other areas that they find important to them. Now, with challenges looming large, whether it's outside of Singapore and inside, opportunities are still abound. For example, in tech and innovation leadership, Singapore is a global leader in semiconductor manufacturing and life sciences, producing over 10% of the world's chips and 80% of DNA chips. A continued investment in R&D will anchor our relevance in global supply chains. And of course, in sustainable energy and climate resilience, something that has been termed as an existential one for us. The budget's $5 billion top-up to the Future Energy Fund and investments in hydrogen, nuclear, and renewable energy sources are forward-thinking steps toward energy security and carbon neutrality. Yet, with these opportunities, we must continue to remain vigilant. Against a dynamic world and widespread digitalization, Singaporeans today worry about job security, skills obsolescence, and whether the government can continue to have their backs in times of crisis. These concerns, if unaddressed, can fray social cohesion and erode trust in institutions. Hence, not only must we continue to ensure we have the right policies, infrastructure, and resources for economic success, we must also continue to build up our people so that they can continue to ride waves. In this budget, we have many measures that address immediate pain points and needs of Singaporeans, mitigating cost of living and costs associated with caring for the old and growing families. These measures are so notable that several commentators wondered if the government has given a bit too much. But at the same time, together with budgets over the past many years, we can clearly observe the long-term provisions and strategies that our government has in place, and this is heartening. Hence, I am in favor of the many measures targeted at building up our nation's capabilities. These include continued investment into infrastructures, R&D, specific enterprise support such as the Enterprise Compute Initiative, aiming to help businesses harness the power of game-changing technologies, as well as enhanced skills future schemes and employment credits to empower our workforce to stay employed and keep pace with the latest market demands. Building capabilities and resilience in our people and enterprises is far-sighted and the best way in inoculating ourselves against the possible challenges of our future. That being said, to keep Singapore resilient, I still have a few points to raise. Firstly, on replenishing our reserves. Given that we had a relatively good fiscal year with surplus, I'd like to reiterate my call on the government to put back into the reserve what we had taken out during the pandemic. This need not be done at one go, but in tranches over the next few years, whenever we can, will be assuring. This pot of gold accumulated by our forefathers served us well during the crisis of our generation, and we owe it to the next generation to restore it whenever we can, if not in full, at least in part, for the benefit of future generations. Second, strengthening economic resilience. As geopolitical competition continues to intensify, there will be impact on our economic structure, supply chains, and even how we deploy technologies. Hence, I hope the government will continue to build redundancy into our supply chains, foster local tech ecosystems, and reduce reliance on external shocks. Third, securing sustainable energy. As a related point, competition between major powers is expected to still escalate in the realm of technology, which in turn rely on energy. It will thus not be surprising that the competition overspills into the energy space. As a small country, how do we secure sustainable sources of energy while maintaining low carbon emissions? As such, the exploration of nuclear options, hydrogen fuel, and regional electricity imports must accelerate to buffer against future geopolitical shocks. Fourth, sharing the fruits of growth. It is important that we continue to share the fruits of our collective labor with Singaporeans. This helps to keep our social compact strong. This gives meaning to why we are pursuing economic growth. This is definitely demonstrated in the many social policies and schemes that our government introduced or enhanced over the past years, and most definitely this year. Specific to SG60 vouchers, which is quite unlike the GST or CDC vouchers that are purposed to address everyday costs and also in a large part to help drive business to our micro SMEs within the heartlands and beyond, it is a special commemorative benefit for Singaporeans aged above 21. But given that there are many vouchers already, would MOF reconsider distributing part of it in cash so that individuals can choose to save it, donate it, or use it for other legitimate purposes? In conclusion, in these uncertain times, we must do all we can to build for the future while giving assurance to Singaporeans present and future. With this budget, it is clear that opportunities will remain, that safety nets exist, and that Singapore's story will continue to be one of success and solidarity. So, come what may, I believe we will forge ahead together as one Singapore for a better tomorrow.